Well, hello, this is Peter, and today is Friday, September 2nd, 2022. And this, of course, is the weekly video. Do these every Friday, bring everybody up to date as much as we can about what we've seen on in the Asian art market during the last week, auctions that are coming up, auctions that are ending, results, that sort of thing. As you know, a lot of you have seen it already. If you haven't, take a look at it. We did a video Wednesday. We started it earlier, but we got it done Wednesday and got it up for the Christie's Important Chinese Works of Art sale that's coming up for Asia Week in New York in September. I think it's the 22nd and the 23rd. Double check that on the. I'm doing it off the top of my head, but I think those are the days. On the site, there's a catalog. There's a YouTube video up on it. There's some nice things. The other auction houses haven't really posted too much lately. Have gotten everything up in the last week. I'm hoping they'll get to it pretty soon. We have a couple of sales that we'll be talking about today that did pop up. And so forth. So let's dig into it. One of the things I wanted to mention was that we added another a reference this week for the enamel people out there. Those of you that like 18th century porcelain enamels and they're interested in that subject, on the catalog section over here under the little red box, we've added the first one you'll come to is this one. It's sort of a doctoral thesis on Chinese enamels, but it's very well written. It's 360 or so pages long, and the title is kind of interesting. The Colors of Each Piece, Production and Consumption of Chinese Enameled Porcelain in 1720 from 1728 to 1780. Why 1728? You have to read about why, but it covers the Yongchen and the Qianlong period, and it's a very well written a story. There's some good images in here, and as I said, it's fully indexed. Loads of illustrations in every chapter, drawings, and all that sort of thing. But if you're interested in enamels and how they were used and why they were used and all that subject, this is sort of the one of the give you all the minutia, as they say. It'll give you everything you want to know. All right, so do check that out. All right, and the other thing I wanted to mention was we updated the auction results on the global pages from the Alex Cooper sale and the sale down in Sarasota, and we're going to getting into some of these prices shortly. But those of you that use the page, remember that over in the information box, when you click that open, there's a thing for auction results, and we don't have all the results in there from every sale because it would be 100,000 pages long, but we have got a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of material listed here. Most of it is either very fine export wares or early pieces, that kind of thing, the good stuff, as they say. But there's some nice examples in here: Japanese, Chinese. You can see, tortoiseshell combs, paintings, silks, all of it. It's all in here. There's a lot of stuff. It's a good reference point too, especially if you're thinking of bidding on something and you're wondering how much something might bring. You might get some guidance there for that. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention was the Stair Gallery auction is up. This is a beast of an auction with Chinese export porcelain, as you can see, and these are live now for over a week on the global user pages, global member pages. Lots of figural Chinese porcelains, not the kind of stuff you're going to see on eBay. This is really premium material, primarily of the 18th century. There's some very fine 19th century figural porcelains as well. Some really fine memorial pieces, some good Japanese Arita and so forth. So do check that out. All right, it's a good group of sales for those that you use it. Now, some of the things that are coming up. This is the Stair Gallery. It's porcelain like this, European decorated subject matter on China trade wares. These sort of European allegorical scenes that are so hot with collectors of China trade material. This is the kind of thing that is in the Stair Gallery auction. Very good stuff. Really good. All right, and there's this fine 17th century piece of Japanese arita. They haven't dated it. I don't think they probably were quite sure when it was made. They just know it's Japanese and really old. This was made around 1680. A very, very fine food pot in underglazed blue with its original kirin fu lion or fu lion on top, or shishi on top. It's got one bid. It's up to $350. This thing should bring $900 to $1,200. The estimate is $700 to $900. But if you're Japanese, it's from the Tibor collection. It's a well-known collection. If you're interested in early Japanese blue and white, you might want to chase this down. This is a good one. This is a very fine example. All right, and then there was this sold last week. They call these Ulysses S. Grant plates, and they always have the flounder on them or a halibut. Guangxu period. They dated this one from 1870 to 1879. This is purportedly a service that was presented to Alexander, to General Ulysses Grant, not Alexander Grant. Ulysses Grant in 1879. It's sort of famous pattern, and here's the fish. It brought $3,250 against a $5,000 to $7,000 estimate. I think I had said in one of the previous, I thought 5 to 7 was a little aggressive. It might get up closer to the 5, but it brought $3,250 plus the premium, so you're at about $4,200 by the time you're all done. So we were pretty close on that. Alex Cooper in Townsend, Maryland had this sale. He had a good sale. This was another thing that was very nice. 19th century Shenfang or somewhere around there, Tongxi era, blue and white plate for the Mexican market with the hawk on it, or the eagle on it, clutching the arrows. This is a sort of a historic type of porcelain. Very, very fine quality, really well done. And they dated it as Guangxu, or Shenfeng rather. My feeling is this was an older plate than that, but I haven't examined it, but boy, the back of it looks older, and the front of it looks older than mid 19th century. That certainly looks a good bit older than that, but that's what they claim it is, and I'm unless I see something to the contrary, I have to disagree with that. It looks like an 18th century plate to me. And then things like this sold, this really nice set of lacquered, if you like, we have a lot of people out there that like lacquered wood and carved wood, and you had this ornamental this panel and this sort of shelf-like device here. Very, very attractive. And you don't have to be rich to collect this stuff. It was estimated at $200 to $300. Somebody picked it up on a second bid of, actually an opening bid, it looks like, of $100. They tried $80. They tried to open it at $100. They didn't get it. They dropped the bid to $80. Somebody bid on it and got it. And this was a nice size thing. It was 20 inches wide. These things are great. They're inexpensive, and they would look absolutely fabulous on a wall somewhere. We actually have one very similar to this of dragons on our front porch, and we keep all kinds of stuff around here, and that's one of them. We also have a big limestone Buddha head in our front yard, but we put that on the porch because it looked interesting. It's two facing dragons, but very, very similarly carved, very similar in age and all that. And I don't think I paid more than $8. I think I paid $50 for mine, but it was a few years ago. But anyway, it's a great way to buy things that aren't going to cost you a fortune. We got to get around this idea that you have to spend a lot of money to buy some nice Asian things, Chinese things to collect. You can collect in any category on a modest budget if you have knowledge. The knowledge in the art world in general. This is just a little aside of mine. Excuse me while I go on. In the art world, there's no other business in the world, or no other area of interest in the world where if you don't have a lot of money, but you have a lot of knowledge, and you just take the time to learn it, the knowledge will overcome the money. In other words, you'll be able to find things and present yourself with things in areas where there's less knowledge than you have, and you'll be able to buy great things. And I've seen it many, many, many times. Interestingly, there was a story about 20 years ago of an American family. Some of you that have been around for a while know this story. It was actually written up in Antiques Magazine. And it wasn't about Chinese art, but it was about American antiques. And there was a husband and wife in New York City. They were just school teachers. They didn't have any family wealth. There was nothing there. They made modest city school salaries. They lived in New York. They never owned a car, as far as anyone knows. They were unable to have children, and they got interested in American furniture, and they went into Israel Sack and Company. And those of you who remember, Israel Sack was the premier American furniture dealer in the world, started by Israel Sack and then was handed down to the children who ran it successfully for many decades. Harold Sack was the last one that ran it. He was a great guy. I knew Harold pretty well. He used to come visit us all the time. Sadly, he died a few years ago. But at any rate, he was a wonderful man. And this couple went to Israel Sack and Company, and they found a chair that they really liked, but it was way out of their price range. But they studied, they did their work, they actually bought that chair. I think it took them a year and a half to pay it off. They got Israel Sack and Company to hold it for them while they paid it off. But they also bought things in other places, and they developed such an amazing knowledge of fine American furniture. They were able to acquire things at significant measures below market price for their collection. And when the wife died, I believe the husband died first, and his wife died shortly after. The items all went to Sotheby's, and it was a wonderful auction. The stuff brought millions of dollars, and they never invested millions of dollars. It was just because they had knowledge. That's the point of this little rant of mine. Hope you don't mind it. Knowledge can overcome a lot. Knowledge can overcome a great deal, and as any dealer will tell you, that's what's called in the trade. They call it making a hit. They find something that's radically under the value in an auction somewhere or in a shop somewhere, and because they know something the seller doesn't know or the auctioneer doesn't know, they're able to make a significantly wonderful purchase. And so buy books, study. All right, and that's the way to do it. Now, on to this. A number of you remember we talked about this. I mentioned this copper painting a few months ago when it was accidentally listed. This is the Sarasota auction house sold this. They had accidentally put it up back in April or something like this, April or May. And I saw it the first day it was up, and I immediately added it to the global pages. And I went back to check on it later in the day. I wanted to look at it some more because I thought it was a wonderful painting, and it was gone. And I contacted them and said, where did the copper painting go? And they said, oh, we accidentally listed it in the wrong sale. It'll be back in our August sale. And I said, okay, fair enough. And it came bask as promised, and here it is. And these are very rare. This is a very small painting. It's only about 4 by 6 or so inches, the painting itself. But it's done in copper. And these on copper paintings are very rare, very desirable, very collectible. They've been known about for years. I remember seeing one, a set of 4 of them actually, in a house down in Padanaram, Massachusetts. It was an auction being run by Northeast Auctions back in the day, and they were handling this. Okay, so anyway, sorry about that, a little interruption. There were 4 of these in the house, and I thought they were absolutely amazing. There was all kinds of great American furniture in this house, and these were hanging, as I recall, at the bottom in a group at the bottom of the staircase. A group of 4 of these. They were fabulous, and they ended up back then, 20 years ago. They ended up selling 4 of them, sold for about $25,000. And when I saw this, I just thought, wow, this is a great piece. There's a good little write-up on the back, 1810 to 1820, Foreign Hans at Canton. This looks like a loan exhibition card of some kind. But at any rate, it ended up selling for $8,000, which was fine. I thought the estimate seemed a bit low, but keep your eyes out for these kinds of paintings. They're small. They're about this big. They're very little. They can get missed, but if you're out looking around in shops, always keep your eyes peeled for Chinese export on copper paintings and check them. They're not postcards. I had somebody once say to me he had seen one and he didn't buy it because he thought it was like a postcard or something that had been framed. And it turns out it was on copper. And I think it was for sale for like $50. And he missed it. So at any rate, so he won't miss it again. But there you are. This one brought $8,000. It was a very nice example. And for the Chinese export collector, that was a great buy. All right, or the Chinese painting collector. All right, and then hopping along over to here, there we go, was this gilt subject matter European cup and saucer. I thought this was great. I really did. It sold for $1,400. It went up for a little bit. The estimates were a little heavy on the sale, so some of the stuff didn't quite make it. This was the Alex Cooper sale, but I don't think $1,400 was too much for this. I think that was one of the best buys of the week. This was an extremely fine Chinese export cup. Very, very good work on it. Superb gilding all the way around it. Just terrific. Wonderful colors. And the gilding, you can see, was in really good shape still. So that was a good thing. All right, and then over here to this, there was a mix. This is a later 19th century example of orange and green Fitzhugh. These are pretty rare. You see green Fitzhugh, you see orange Fitzhugh. This one had been sold by Eleanor Gordon. There's the old tag on the back. And as you know, Eleanor Gordon was one of the premier. She wrote the famous book on China trade. She was one of the premier dealers in export art in America. She was a very nice lady. I knew her. She actually sold things to my own parents back years ago when she did the Ellis Antique Show in Boston. And she was a very nice lady. She was always willing to chat and share information and so forth. She was very good. And anyway, this was something she had sold, not surprisingly, and I think it went very reasonably, $550. I think that's a bargain. I think right now Chinese export porcelain is the relative bargain of all of this stuff. This and Japanese stuff. The Chinese market for the Chinese domestic wares, I think it's still very strong, but it doesn't represent the purchasing opportunity of the Chinese export material. All right, and then there was the mythological subject plate. I think this was Apollo, right? Apollo and Daphne. And it went for $2,000. It was estimated heavy at $3,000 to $5,000. I think one of the things that happens too is some of these estimates is that the estates they came from, that Alex Cooper probably went there, and it was a well-to-do family, and well-to-do people tend to buy at very high-end shops. You know, you buy at the very expensive galleries, you pay top dollar. You know, it's like walking into the Chinese porcelain company. You're not going to get any bargains in there. You'll get great stuff, but you're not going to get a steal. You're not going to be able to walk out of there and sell it and make any money on it. That's for sure. And the same is true for, Chait and Marchant and all these big high-end guys. You're paying for their expertise, and that is definitely worth something. But they're not going to sell you, a Chinlung vase that you could buy maybe at Sotheby's for $10,000. They're not going to sell it to you for $10,000. They're going to sell it to you for $15 or $20. But in exchange, you get the relationship with them, which will go a long way to helping you build a great collection. It doesn't hurt you to have an Eskenazi or a Chait Gallery provenance on an item, and that's part of it. But this person, the family probably said, "Gee, they paid $2,000 for it 20 years ago, so that's what it's That we want $3,000 to $5,000, and they came close. $2,000 plus the buyer's premium. We're pretty close to $3,000, but the estimates, you got to sort of just ignore them. This was an interesting one. It was a Dutch trade scene, 1790s export hot water pourer. And this is a small thing. It's about 3 or 4 inches in diameter with these Dutch warehouses on them and this little spout on top, original finial and all that. Nice package. $1,400. But this was also a rare form. They called it a tureen. It technically isn't. It's more of a sauce or a hot water pot. But because it's very small. What is it? It's 5 inches in diameter. It's about this big. It's pretty small. But very nice example. $1,400. There you go. And then onto this was a really good English armorial export 18th century piece. It sold for $5,500. Had a big estimate, $10,000 to $12,000, probably during the Kangxi period. Really, really fine work. And this is why you get this for $5,500. And you can find out who the family was and do all the work. It may even be in here. Yeah, Arms of Lambert. Here you go, right there. And it's in Howard's book. So if it's in David Howard's book, David Howard was the guy for identifying this stuff. He had all the armorial crests. He had it all looked up. It was all indexed, in his books. And he also sold things. He was a dealer. but absolutely great looking piece. All right, and the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was that Skinner's has a sale coming up in a few weeks now that they're under the wing of Bonhams. And one of the sales, I have to admit, I was a little bit disappointed in it. I don't like to beat up on them too much, but boy, they called this Literati Taste of the Qing. And they've got fakes in the sale, obvious fakes. They've got some few good things. They got a pair of Kangxi blue glazed long neck vases that had been in the collection of J.P. Morgan. Those are great. That's fine. They're absolutely authentic. Their estimate is extremely reasonable, $6,000 to $12,000. But then when you scroll down a bit and you start looking at some of these, they have a number of modern Kangxi style pieces that they've listed as Republic, or they haven't dated them at all. This one, that one, that one. A number of these monochromes, these peach bloom pieces, to me look awfully new. There's a bowl in here that is very suspect. These pieces, I don't know. The brush pots, they're trying to sell them as Republic. They're all modern. They're all new. We're going to take a look at a couple of them and you tell me what you think. And I hope they don't do it. Maybe they scheduled this, before they were bought out or something, and they can't get out of the deal. I don't know. But this is being listed as just Kangxi style. Well, yeah, it's style, but it's brand new. It shouldn't be they shouldn't be offering it. They shouldn't put an estimate of $500 to $700 on it. And this is, they call this China 19th or 20th century. There's nothing 19th century about the bottom of that. And those of you that know these brush pots know exactly what I mean. This is a ridiculous reproduction, and estimated at what's it got? Estimated at $800 to $1,200. It is brand new in my opinion. So at any rate, so maybe the Skinner's is cleaning out the closets. I don't know. They got another sale coming. They have another sale that's got some pretty good things. I looked at a couple of pieces of somebody on the inquiry side yesterday, and there was a couple of nice Tonkas. And those of you that look at it will know. One of them looks particularly old, but what are you going to do? Anyway, over on eBay, I mentioned at the beginning that I think I mentioned it. There's a vase that something I wanted to get to that's getting a lot of inquiries from us. They want to know if this is a Qinlong vase, or is it Qing, or what is it? This is a modern fake. This is Woolworths has this up. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, they've been selling a lot of these. This thing is starting to get into real money. It's got 4 days to go. It's up to $1,500. This is a reproduction. This is a modern reproduction, and I don't mean Republic. I mean it's was made very recently. And all you need to do is look at that foot rim right there. You don't even have to look at the vase. You just have to see that foot, the way that's trimmed, and that brown crap that's all over it, and all that gunk, and this walled, the inside wall, how it slopes inward here. That all of this whole scene, this is the work of very recent work in Qing to Chen, meaning it was made sometime since the 1990s. All right, and it's nicely done, but and you have that tanning effect on the inside. But this is a modern piece. If any of you have bid on this, retract your bid. Don't buy it. It's a bummer piece. All right, now, God, I'm in a kind of a grouchy mood. No, I'm not grouchy today. Actually, I'm in a really good mood, but at any rate. And they also, this was something that they had sold a couple of weeks ago, and they had it, Guangxu Dynasty Bowl. It's brand new. This is a total reproduction. Here's the underside of it. And whenever you see, I'm showing this just as an example, whenever you see a piece like with a Guangxu mark or a Qinlong mark or a Jiajing mark or Tongqi or any of those nice marks that everybody wants and are rarely authentic, but when you see this tanning and all this discoloration on the inside, and then this rusty look that's on the face of the foot right here that should be smooth from going over tabletops for 100 years. Whenever you see that, immediately becomes suspect. All of this rust and debris in here. And a couple of people weren't paying attention. I don't know what they thought, and it ended up going for $2,850. And that is a brand new bowl. All right, so it happens all the time. So I'm sad to say. All right, now on to some little happier news. There were some pretty good results last week on eBay of some decent things. One of them was this late 19th century pair of lime ground green jars. These were sold by Chamberlain Antiques. Nice jars, 17 and a half inches tall. Pair. One of them had a tiny bit of damage to the top or something, but overall these were very cheerful, rather nicely done all the way around jars. Here are the bases on them. Very typical late 19th century foot rims. On one side you can see there's got a big iron oxide bloom on it from being fired. But these are perfectly nice. $1,825, which I think is a very good deal. That's $900 a piece for a 17-inch covered green jar, and you got a pair of them for double that. A single would have easily brought $1,000. So I think this was a very good buy for the week for somebody. Very handsome, decorative, and big, 17 inches. Nice. And then over here to this was that 25-inch rose mandarin vase, mid-19th century, 1840s or so. Very good quality all the way around. The gilding looked good on it. Gilding was still appearing in the hair the way you want to see it. Nice colors, bright colors, good clear yellows, good blues, very attractive. The Greek key border is unworn going around the outside of it. And somebody picked it up for $1,888. And keep in mind, this was a 25, I think it was pretty sure it was 25 inches, right? 25-inch tall famille rose vase. That was a nice looking piece of porcelain. And it was very big, very big. All right, and then moving along over here, the Kangxi jar we talked about last week, I thought was nice. It was up to about, I think it was like $1,100 or so. Ended up doing great. It brought $3,000. That was sort of the range we were talking. It's on the upper range. I think we said $2,000 to $3,000, somewhere around there. I went for a little over $3,077. But a nice thing with a lid. As I mentioned last week, the lid probably had a finial on it at some point. If any of you bought it, keep your eyes peeled for a nice piece of carved stone or something that would fit on there, and put it on there and attach it and complete the top. All right, and then over here we have a really nice pair of these snuff bottles. I loved these, and they did better than I thought they'd do pretty well. I thought they would bring $1,000 or $1,500. They went over that. They did great. These are nice. They have apocryphal chin lung marks on the bottom. I guess they're not. Those aren't chin lung marks. What are those? I didn't look those up. Or variant of it. At any rate, I didn't look it up, so I'm not going to say what it was. But these were nice. These were absolutely wonderfully done, mid-19th century from what I'm seeing. They ended up going for $2,191, but very unusual and nice colors, and a pair, and a matched pair. So that's pretty great. And the desk set of the jade and bronze desk set with the bracelet and the birds, very, very nice. Came right in at about what we thought it would, $1,225. I don't know who made it. It was probably maybe Farmer or somebody down in New York put it together. That was the name of the company. It wasn't what his occupation. And the faceted Kangxi vase, Wucai vase, did just fine. Ended up going for $1,580. And what else was in the newsletter? Oh, the lacquer wall panel. This was the one that was decorated on both sides. I loved this. I thought this was terrific and beautiful quality. And it did fine in the end. It ended up doing very, very well. It brought $2,750, which is, I think, sort of in the range we were thinking because it was so exceptional. It really was. And we'll get to the tea caddy in a minute. It also did very, very well. All right. And the Japanese plate, Meiji or so plate, Meiji to Taisho period plate, ended up bringing $787. But very unusual color palette. I love the ho-ho bird flying overhead. Notice how well it's enameled. This very pretty soft blue ground with the fences of the bound fences going around with the wheat or the plants on them inside the garden. Some rocky formations and flowers and all that. Just great. Very nice plate. $7.87. And what else was in the newsletter? Oh, the shelf, the gilded sort of Regency, Chinese Regency influence shelf, I guess you might call it. But very nice quality, good detail all the way around. And you don't see shelves like this very often. This is a wonderful, wonderful wall bracket. Put it in the corner, put a beautiful vase on it. There it is. Absolutely great. And you get these are hard to find. But when you find one, hang on to it. It ended up bringing, I think, a very reasonable price, $2,237. You couldn't get that made probably for under $10,000. Honestly, the workmanship on here is amazing. To hire someone to carve all this and gild it and get it done would be fantastic. Look at that detail work on that on the rail. Just fantastic quality. Absolutely great. And that's what people you think about. What would it cost you to have that made? If you could find the person, you could arrange it, and you wanted to give them 6 months to do it. That's it's going to be expensive as all get out. And then this was the tea caddy. I love this tea caddy. On stand, on an elevated stand with paw feet, original stand base. Whoops, what's that? There we go. 78. It's not 70. Oh, that's the forecast for tomorrow. Wonderful work, and it's got this very, very fine gilt work on it. Really exceptional all the way around. The original wooden paw feet on it, and in the end, it did fine. It brought $2,080, which is a good price. You think that typically these lacquer tea caddies bring around half of that or less, down to maybe $300 or $400. This one sort of went off because the quality was so good. All right, and then over to the little pair of planters in iron red, late 19th century. Very nice quality. They'd been used. One of them had a crack in the bottom, but very good looking late Qing examples with officials or immortals on them. The pair ended up going for $1,526 with the one with the cracked base. So that shows you that people still love good planters, don't they? And just this at the end, just for the fun of it, was this little had a mild repair to it. This export rose mandarin plate. If you can get it, if I can convince it to open. There we go. All right. But the coloring on this was nice. This is the reason I put it in the listing, was that it had this rather nice yellow, a greenish yellow that sort of stood out in my eyes. I thought it was brightly colored, very nice little example. What was the repair on this? It was minor, as I recall. Was it this over in here? Oh no, up there in the corner. That's what it was. It was pretty minor, as I recall. It was, say it's been repaired is a little bit of a reach, and it ended up bringing $190 with the little repair, but pretty good colors, interesting to look at. All right. And then coming up this week, there's a few good things on there. We'll have more on the newsletter page. One of them is the Blue to Hue Vietnamese market over-the-wall Dragon Bowl. It's up to $104. It should bring $400 to $600 by the time it's done. It closes on Sunday, but it'll be on the newsletter page. It's already set aside. And this is a buy it now, but I came across it. If any of you out there like Chinese export paintings, and you haven't found one lately that you like, this is a buy it now. But it's got looks like a $200 or $300 frame on it, and it's a peach blossoms with a butterfly. And at first I thought this might be a print, but apparently it's not. It's so clear, it's so crisp, really fine quality. Down in the corner, in ink is signed peach, and then the description here. And then there's a picture of the butterfly, this beautiful butterfly on here. This is a nice piece of Chinese export painting. done in the 19th century, beautifully framed, ready to hang. There's the back of it, all set. You know, the frame is worth $200 or $300, and the painting is definitely worth $300. And you could buy the package all ready to hang for $525. It's good size. What is it? It's like 20 inches, right? Yeah, 16 by 20 inches. This isn't a small picture. This is a big picture. Nice, big watercolor. Beautifully done, probably first half of the 19th century. Let's see, what else is it saying? He doesn't know too much about it. Anyway, it'll be on the newsletter page this week. But if you're looking for a good Chinese painting, I recommend that one. That's beautiful. Beautiful quality. All right, now this one, I've said a lot lately about fakes of transitional porcelains on the market, and I looked at this one. This one looks okay. It's a simple one, but this very dense white paste around the top, the color of the blue, the bottom. This looks fine to me. They just have it up as large Chinese antique blue and white jar with wooded cover. The seller is where's the seller? Over in the UK. It's a nice piece. It's up to $265. Should go for a couple of thousand by the time it's done. There's also a very decided looting line running around the middle of it. But to me, this looks okay. Despite all my concerns about fakes in the transition market, I don't think that's one of them. And there's also this, the Straits porcelain. This one is sort of an odd, wait a minute, whoops, I lost it. Anyway, there's a Straits porcelain vase on there. I accidentally closed it. A nice turquoise ground. It was on there last week. It closes in a couple of days. If you're a Straits porcelain buyer, do check that out. Absolutely. And then lastly is this. This is from the Ceramics and Collectibles guys. If you like Japanese Arita ware, late 18th, early 19th century with unusual coloring, this is the plate to look at. It'll be on the newsletter page. Wonderful color palette here. It looks very white ground, very much in the feel of almost like Kekiemon. Very nice colors, very carefully decorated. The gilding, any gold on here is still intact, nice condition. The back of this plate is beautifully done. I don't know if any of you have seen this one yet. There's the back of it. It's got a Y-shaped spur mark, which is typically tied to, people think of them typically as being 18th century. Nice clean white footrim. The back of it is beautifully decorated all the way around. This is a nice little plate. Should bring $400 or so. It's only up to $28. It closes on Sunday. If you like Japanese Arita wares, unusual examples, beautiful color, this is something to consider adding to your collection. Very atypical, but really pretty. And as they accurately say, 18th or 19th century. So check that out. All right. And that's about it for the week. There's been a lot going on, and I had my ramble in the middle there. But anyway, I apologize for that. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And consider supporting the channel by joining the global member pages. It's how we do everything and keep everybody working. One of the ways. And but it's helpful. And I appreciate all of you. So have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back next week. We're working on a few more videos, and we'll be doing some videos on the upcoming Sotheby's sales and other auctions in New York. We're going to take a look at the Doyle sale when it comes up. I think Freeman is running a sale in October, not in September. One I haven't seen one yet, but we'll keep checking, and so. We'll see what happens next week, all right? But we'll try to get some new things, new videos up next week about Asia Week. All right. Have a wonderful weekend, and leave a comment. Any ideas you have, we always read them. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.